And so I tell him my name and number, and so now I'm in the Bandidos, book.
Welcome to the Barbershop. I'm your host, Matt Horner, with my co-host, Walker. How's it going?
It's going good, man.
You're doing good. I'm going to call you now the bouncer of the barbershop.
Bouncer of the bar. I like it.
Yeah. So, but you have a good weekend?
It was awesome. It was really good. Got a lot of stuff done.
Mm-hmm. Same here. Both of us got babies on the way, so we're excited. Probably every weekend we're doing something prepared for that, taking care of honeydews and things like that.
Yep. I knocked about 6 honeydew lists off yesterday.
We kind of wanted to talk about how you maybe one day might have not have had a baby because you and your wife almost got killed at a biker bar.
We did.
This is an interesting story. Something you'd hear in the barbershop because guys come in and say, you wouldn't believe what happened.
So I told Michelle I was going to be telling the story this morning.
Yeah. And
she says, Are we safe? Are we protected, once they find out
where you are?
Yeah.
So basically, if you're a rough, tough biker listening to the Barbershop podcast, we're making all this up.
Yeah. This is all fictional.
Yeah. So
it was like 2 years ago, and I do open mic. I write songs and play songs, and so there's an open mic in Abilene. And so I was telling Honey, I was like, "Hey, we should go to this." It's like on a Wednesday, kind of a weird day,
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, "Okay, where is it?" And I was like, "I don't know. It's this place I've never been before, but it's this new place." And so she Googles it, and man, it's nothing but like this old parking lot with this shed off in the corner of it. Like a small barn.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, this place is like brand new." Because they've never done anything there before, and so I'm sure like that picture's from
under construction,
right? Or like 2-year-old Google picture.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's got a nice new place now, and it's gonna be really hip or whatever.
Yeah, you're just staying positive.
Oh man, yeah, I'm just trying to talk her into this.
Yeah, that's your good bad trait.
That's what Michelle says too. And so as you'll find out, it'll get us in trouble later. But so I tell her, I was like, I'm sure it's like fine. It's old picture, it's a new place. And so I talk her into it. And so she says, well, let's invite a couple of friends. So we invite a couple of friends to go with us. And so they're about half an hour behind us. And so we head up there Wednesday evening, and we pull up. And dude, it looks just like the picture.
Oh.
Yeah, it's like...
So your friends looking at you like... Oh.
Right, so they're not there yet.
Oh, they're not there yet.
We took separate vehicles.
Okay.
And so we pull up, though, and it's nothing but bikers. Nothing but Harleys out in front of it.
And y'all are not riding a bike. You're riding what?
Dude, we're wearing polo shirts and driving a black Tahoe. Yeah, we don't fit in.
They're thinking you're the Fed. Showing up in the black Tahoe.
Yeah. Dude, they're looking at us sideways.
Black Tahoe. Yeah.
So we pull up, we park, and Michelle's like, I'm not getting out of the car. I was like, honey, like we're here. Like, bikers are not that bad. They get a bad rap, but they're just a bunch of soft teddy bears that look. Yeah,
mainly just doctors on the weekend. Your local dentist.
So I finally convinced her to get out of the car. We parked, and we're walking up there, and like 4 biker dudes come up to us and like, hey, you can't park there. Bikes only. I was like, okay, no worries, no problem, guys. And so me and the wife, we get back in the car, and she's like, okay, let's go home. I was like, no, we're just not going to park there. So I turn around to the backside and we park.
Yeah.
And there's like 2 other vehicles.
You're determined for this open mic.
We're going to do this.
Was there a big award or something?
Nothing.
Nothing. You're not doing this for $1,000 reward or anything.
Mm-mm. Absolutely nothing besides going out and playing some music.
Yeah.
And so we park and she's like, I'm not getting out of the car. And I was like, honey, I'd already like tried to basically pry her out of the car the first time, and it was this time she was not coming out. She locked the door, wouldn't let me in. I mean, it was pretty ridiculous. So finally, I open the door and I'm coaxing her out, and she's got to okay, fine, I'm coming in, but I'm bringing my pepper spray. And so she's got her hand like in her purse, like, cross arm, just holding on to her pepper spray. I'm like, honey, even if they didn't know it's pepper spray, it looks like you're holding something else. Yeah, I said, you're going to get us in trouble by going in there like that.
Yeah.
It's like, you can't take that in there. So she did take it in there, but she didn't have her hand in her purse.
Oh man.
So
Yeah. So
we
it
walk
would have been funny though if she'd have had like a cigarette behind the ear, maybe a pistol in the bra. Or
Oh, man. So
if you fit the part, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
If you're going into a biker place, you got to look like a biker woman.
we weren't wearing enough leather.
Not enough leather, huh?
Not by far.
Too much Ralph Lauren.
So we go in there, and dude, this place is pretty run down.
Uh-huh.
It's pretty trashy, and there's probably 20 people or something there at that point. And so my first mission, go sign up for the open mic, and then the second purpose I have is I want to find the most influential person in there, and I'm going to make them my friend.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because
You got to make sure you fit in. You know?
Right.
You have favor.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Biker
if
favor.
something happens wrong, like, hey, no, it's cool. He's with me,
Yeah.
It's,
Except if he's like some type of like Mexican drug lord or something.
But at that point, I was still sitting there thinking, like, no, this is fine. It's like I'm out of my comfort zone.
Uh-huh.
But surely these people are just really nice people. They're fine. They're just they like riding Harleys.
Uh-huh.
And so I go up there, and I'm sitting there. I introduce myself to this guy. I was like, hey, I'm Walker. What's your name? And he goes, I'm Blade.
Blade. Did he say it like that movie, Sling Blade?
So at first I said Blake, because like surely he didn't just introduce himself as Blade. I mean, how retarded is that? And he says no, Blade. And so then I said like Sling Blade.
I like some biscuits.
And so he says, yeah, like Sling Blade. And I was like, huh, okay, well, cool. Good to meet you. And
My name's X.
right, yeah. Since we're doing nicknames here, and so I thought it was like over the top. We're in a biker gang or whatever. We have to have nicknames.
Still
So-
no clue that you're putting yourself in danger.
Yeah, I mean everyone's wearing these Bandido jackets, 1%, all that stuff, and I have no idea of any of this.
What does the 1% mean? I've heard about it, but I forgot.
So it's like the 1%. I forget
Yeah.
something about
Being tough.
bad. Yeah,
Yeah.
being tough.
Yeah. I've heard people talk about the 1% like jacket and stuff in the barbershop, but I forgot.
Yeah, he told me, but I forget.
Mm-hmm.
And so I asked him, I was like, hey, so, like, what do y'all do here? And so he says, well, we're a support club. I was like, a support club for what? And he says, well, we support each other. And I was like, huh. So, like, how long y'all been here? And so I'm sitting there trying to, have a conversation, figure out what kind of place we're in, And he says, well, the other place burned down about 1.5 years ago. Well, it got burned down. And he turns around and asks this woman, hey, how long ago did that happen? She says, about 1.5 years ago. And he's like, yeah, so I guess that's about how long we've been here. And I was like, okay, cool. So, so if y'all are a support club, like, do y'all have a name or something, And he's, so he pauses for a little bit. And like he wants, and I know while he's about to tell me, he wants me to like really let it sink in because I'm just being over the top friendly, And he says, "Yeah, we're called the Bandidos." And I just blow right past it. I'm like, "Oh, Bandidos, that's cool," And I'm sitting there thinking, Mexican word for bandits, right?
Yeah.
Like, ooh, bandits. Like, what do y'all do?
You
Go
were
around.
so homeschooled.
I was sitting there thinking like a couple of guys, they drive Harleys and they smash mailboxes on the weekend, Ooh, big tough guy. We're in Abilene, Texas. Anyway, so I blow right past that, and he's like, looks at me like, you're an idiot, And so they're wearing the jackets and they have the patches and stuff, and so I was like, what's y'all's like mantra? What's y'all? Because every gang or every support club, you have a like a motto. And he looks at me kind of sideways and says, we're the people you warned your mother. Oh, he says, we're the people your mother warned you about. And I was like, oh, so
You're not really going to like my Jesus music.
So he said, have you never heard the Bandidos? And I'm like, no, of course I've never heard the Bandidos. Little gang in Abilene, Texas or whatever,
Yeah.
And he says, we're kind of like, have you ever seen the show, Monarchs? Or Bikers and Monarchs. What's it called?
I don't know. I've never seen the show, but it's a biker. I know what the Bandidos are.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
But
they
it-
shot
so-
it out
so-
in Waco. Killed a
Right.
few people.
and so he says, Sons of Anarchy. That's
Oh,
what it
yeah,
is.
Sons of Anarchy.
That's
yeah.
what it was.
Yeah.
And so he
Kind of
says,
like the Monarchs. They're the real butterfly.
so he says, we're like the Sons of Anarchy except for worse. And I was like, oh gosh, whatever, okay. I said, I've never seen the show, but I know what you're talking about. I'm like, cool. But I think he's just blowing up, smoke,
Mm-hmm.
And so about that time, like some lady comes up and like asks if we want some meatball sandwiches, and they're in the back, and everyone's being like really nice, probably like friendlier than some churches I've gone to as far as being like, hey, welcoming and stuff. And so there's no way that this biker gang is
Tough.
Yeah.
Because they're too nice. They're shaking your hand.
Oh, yeah, they
asking
are.
your name. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And so after that, we settled down, and like Michelle's freaking out, like, hey, our friends are going to be here in a little bit, and they're going to freak out. Like, we cannot let them come into this place. And I call like, it's fine. Come on over. It'll be good. I've already made some friends. We're good. And so we're sitting there waiting for them. And Michelle looks up, and there's security cameras, but they're not pointed like inside the place. They're all pointed out into the parking lot, and the monitors are on the inside. And she's like, well, at least there's security cameras. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, that's actually not a really good sign, because they like to see what's coming in. They're not necessarily worried about what's inside, Like, that's kind of backwards from most establishments,
Yeah.
They want to see if you take something, not who's pulling up into the parking lot.
Yeah.
And so,
And you're pulling up in a black Tahoe.
oh man,
Classic police car.
and so we're still like wearing polo shirts, khakis, nice dress shoes,
They're wanting to know if you're going to represent.
and every single one of them just decked out in leather, leather chaps, leather jackets, and it was crazy. So then our friends get there, and once I tell them, it's like, hey, we're good, it's fine. They just believe me for some reason, and they just fit right in. And we're sitting there talking to people, and so we start playing music, and I get up there and I sing a couple of Christian songs. Actually, I'm sitting there thinking, hey, these people need the.
Yeah.
They're Messiah too, So I sing a couple of those, and actually got a pretty good response.
Yeah.
And then I sing a couple of classic rock songs, and I'm in the middle of about my fourth or fifth song, and these two bikes ride into the establishment, like into this barn. Like they ride straight through the door. They're just wow, revving up. And it's just this big tin building. It's just so loud. And so, like, obviously these guys are like, there's some high up, not everyone can just ride their motorcycle into the place. And they get off, and everyone goes up there and starts, shouting, hitting their back, and talking to them. And so it's pretty clear that these guys are the leader of the gang. Mm-hmm. And this one guy, he's about like 6'2", 6'3", pretty big guy.
Yeah.
Pretty stout looking. And he's sitting there going around shaking everyone's hands, saying hi. And so I'm sitting there playing my song, and Michelle and our friends are sitting over there taking pictures, And about that time, he goes over there and puts his arm around her, and like to get in the picture. Well, it's just too close at that point. So I stopped the song, middle of the song. And I was like, hey, buddy, hey, that's my wife. You're getting too close. You need to back up a little bit. And he goes, no, don't worry about it. No, you need to back off right now. And he's sitting there kind of judging
How quiet
me.
is it now? in there?
Oh, dude, it's totally quiet. I've stopped playing. No one's talking anymore. The place is shut down. And he kind of stands up, and he's sitting there looking at me. And I'm like, man, this dude's big.
What did I do?
And he
I
walks.
bet your wife's eyes were
Oh,
this
man.
big by this time.
Oh, she's sitting there saying, it was nice knowing you, honey.
I loved you.
So he walks up to the stage, and I'm like not saying anything, just kind of sizing me up. And then right when he gets to the stage, he says, man, I like you. And he sticks his hand out, and we shake hands. And he says, I didn't know that was your old woman. And I was like, that's fine. But yeah, just let's keep her space from now on. And like, what am I going to do? Like smash his head with the guitar and then take on 20 other people?
No, you'd have killed him with your guitar pick like a ninja star.
Oh yeah. So, I sit there. I finish my songs. And I get down. And as soon as I get down, he comes up over to me. He's like, man, I like your style. I like you. Come over and meet some of my friends. So I go over there, and he says, "Hey, I'm Silver." And I'm like, "Oh gosh, like what are these people's like with the nicknames, you know?"
Yeah.
And so he says, "I'm Silver," and I meet the guy named Axel, and the other guy's named like Blackjack or something like that. You know, it's ridiculous. And so then he says, "Hey, I'm actually having like a big gathering at my ranch down in San Antonio. I want you to come out and play some music there." And so I was like, "Yeah, that sounds good, you know." And so he says, "I want to get your number." And so what happens when most people get your phone number? Like
Yeah.
they pull out their phone, right?
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm expecting him to do. But no, he like snaps his finger and says, "New York, get over here." And this dude, like little New York, comes over there, says, "Get this guy's number." So he whips out his pad and paper and looks up at me. And so I tell him my name and number. And so now I'm in the Bandidos, book,
Yeah.
who to call whenever they need
Oh
music.
my gosh.
And at this point, I was like sitting there thinking, I don't really want my name and number in this book.
I don't really want to be called back.
And so they, Michelle asks for something from the car.
This is crazy. Yeah.
And so I go and get something, I'm going to the car to get it. And come back and they say, "Hey, no, you can't bring that in here." And I was like, "Well, Silver said, that I could." And she's like, at that point, they're like, "Yep, you can come on in then," because so I finally made that influential friend,
Yeah.
And so we get back in there, talk some more, and hang out. And then we're about to leave, and we bro hug and say au revoir to our friends and leave. And
Did they ever call you to play?
no, they didn't. Thank goodness. Because it was like 2 days later.
Yeah.
I'm sitting around and telling the story, this crazy story about this open mic night and these new friends that I have. And my brother's like, "The Bandidos? Are you serious?" I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Dude, like you're lucky to be alive right now." I was like, "What are you talking about?" And anyways, he pulls up all the Waco articles and
Oh, really?
yeah.
That is crazy. I mean, so that just goes to show, don't go to every invite on Facebook.
That is a problem I
Let's
have.
just walk through these decisions, Walker. Okay. You see an invite, you think, scary looking metal building. It's old. And then you get there, nothing but bikers. And they tell you can't park where you should park. You go on in. They give you food. Did you eat the food? At any point
No.
were you eating, drinking, thinking, this could be something in here?
No, I don't like. I would have ate there, but I don't like meatball sandwiches.
Yeah. So, anyways, so that, you think all this stuff, and then you're singing the music, and then the nicknames, and you're like, oh, these are just really cool nickname guys,
Yeah,
different-
they really like their nicknames. Yeah,
yeah. That's
Blade and
funny.
Silver and stuff. So I found out, like 2 days later, that Silver, the guy
Yeah.
that I, shut down, he like was in prison for a little bit for stabbing a guy like 7 times in like the Chick-fil-A parking lot.
And if he would stab somebody on holy ground like Chick-fil-A, home of the Lord's waffle fry,
Oh yeah,
he's an evil man.
I'm lucky to be alive.
You are lucky to be alive. Man, that is crazy. I remember, I've never been in a situation like that, but props that you stood up and, hey, that's my wife. You were the knight in shining armor in a den of dragons that could have just devoured you. But you're such a likable guy. That goes to good, thing that people should know, that when you're in a bad situation, a good attitude goes a long ways.
Oh yeah, that's true.
If you'd have been just like a jerk, like, where's the VIP room, man? Or, your sound system's no good.
Yeah.
They'd have been like, It is funny, though. Being likable is a very important thing. Because you could say something at that moment when it was time to say something.
It could have gone so wrong.
Yeah, if they already were pissed at you for even being there.
Yeah. So I ran into a ex-Bandido about a year ago now. Mm-hmm. And I was sitting there, I told him the story, and he's like, "Yeah, the only reason you're alive is because like they respected you, because you didn't know who they were, and so therefore I didn't know I was supposed to fear them, and so they respected me." And I'm not saying like I'm like some macho guy or anything, you know.
No,
but
ignorance was very bliss.
ignorance was very helpful.
Yeah, and you had a good attitude. You always have a good attitude. I remember the one time, I was in a, not even similar. I don't even want to put it in the same class because it was a lot less. But I was in the same time with me and my wife just married. We're living in this apartment complex. She's going to University of Texas Tech, and there's this couple living a few doors down, and they're always fighting. But they're drug heads, I could tell, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So one day, the window breaks, and we run outside of our apartment, and he comes. They come out, and then he hits this woman in the face. This man hits this boyfriend, hits this girlfriend in the face.
Mm.
And so I'm thinking, I got to do something, and I just say, "Hey, what's going on?" And then my wife's right behind me, and she goes, "Yeah, if you want to pick on somebody your own size." And I look over at her like, this guy works out. You know, like he's got bigger muscles than me.
What are you doing, honey?
And that's what's going to my mind, like, oh, you know, what are we doing here? You know? And of course, like most men that beat women, they're kind of cowards.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So he just looks at me and takes off running. Now, physical size, he had me. You know, I mean, he was taller, broader, stronger, it looked like. And of course, the girl comes crying over here, and you do the exact same thing. Well, she goes, "Oh, you know, he's a pothead, blah, 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 and doing drugs, whatever." She made her list of complaints, and I said, "Well, if you want to do anything about it, you want to leave this, you got to call the cops." Mm-hmm. She goes, "No, will you call the cops for me?" I'm like, "No, I'm not calling the cops for you." And anybody's ever listening to this, if you're in a situation, I mean, besides if the woman's getting stabbed or, you know, by the time we're calling the cops, the guys left the scene and is no longer in harm, immediate danger. But the person who's getting abused has to own it at some point, I believe. And so I said, "You call the cops." So she called the cops. They did a police report, and then she's upset that she called the cops because I think there's drugs in the apartment and all this stuff. So for about 2 days, it looked like they're off. You know, the woman was coming around. Well, day 3, you know, we were broke at the time, so we wouldn't run our AC, so the windows and the doors open. I'm sitting there watching TV, and here comes that dude with his girlfriend, you know, that he just hit in the face. And for weeks, he would just walk by my apartment, and everything would be open. He would just give me the big stare down. Mm-hmm. And nothing ever bad happened. But that's my only, like, adult confrontation with the females involved.
Right.
You know, besides kindergarten.
So, yeah, those situations can also
can
escalate real quickly.
It can escalate real quickly.
Yeah, he could have grabbed a bat and came at you. And
yeah, I didn't have anything. But
except your wife's support.
Yeah, my wife's support. But then I think about, like, as we've gotten older, I think my wife has realized I better get my handgun license because Matt doesn't got anything. So now, you know, she always pack, and I'm like, "You better quit it, buddy. She'll pop a 9 in your ass." You know, but she is, you know, and that's things. Do we want to train up? I got a little girl. You got little girls. Mm-hmm. You know, you want to train them to be tough, not tough, but defensive. I don't know how you want to say it. Almost want them to have a black belt. So,
yeah, I do want them to have a black belt.
You know, that if any guy ever tries to do anything, or they get themselves in a situation like open mic night at a Bandidos bar because they're the daughter of Walker York.
Bless their heart.
Yeah. That they're going to know some karate. Yeah. So do you do anything now to bring defensive stuff?
No. I do have my LT star. I've done all the training.
Yeah.
I just need to file the paperwork for my LTC.
Yeah.
But really, I just need to because you're not the first person who's brought that to my attention, that, like, most people are like, in your stories, there's several points along the story that I would have, like, okay, I'm out.
Yeah. I'm out.
You know? Like, whenever you saw the picture
But
of
I don't
the
know if they would have
building.
let you leave at a certain point.
Right. At some point, hey, we just got to stay here and wait this out, you know? Until it's time to go. So I do need to get better at making those decisions.
I don't know if they're bad.
It's worked out so far,
Yeah.
but at some point it's going to stop working out.
Uh-huh. Yeah. So I know, like, my wife got her license to carry, and it was more because we lived in an area where dog and cats weren't being taken care of, and we would be walking in the neighborhoods, and stray dogs would become charging at us, barking at us. So I thought, well, and we would be pushing a stroller with a baby in it, and so it was like, oh, if a dog comes after us now, we're going to shoot him. So That's what kind of got our license to carry for that.
Yeah. I have a friend who did that, and like this, I think it's a pit bull, and kept on coming out like every day, and she kept, it was like a stand down, and finally she started packing. Because usually the owner would come out, in time to get the dogs off. Anyways, so she started packing. Dog charged her one time, popped it, twice in the head, and they sued her.
Did they win?
I don't know. Actually,
Yeah,
I wouldn't think they did, but
my brother Woodrow's been on the show. He was on last week. He had some college kids live next door. Had some big dogs, and like a 4-foot chain link fence in a neighborhood. Everybody had chain link fences, cyclone fences, or whatever. He had a little mutt dog, about the size of a beagle, a little smaller, and he would feed his mutt dog. The big pit bulls are real big. I don't know what type they were. They were kind of some type of mastiff or pit bull, or I don't know, big dogs. Would jump across and then beat up his dog and eat the little dog's dog food. Well, he'd shoo him off. Well, then he had a little baby boy. And his little boy would come out there, and those dogs would jump over and try to get his little boy's food or whatever. So it ticked him off. He started telling them guys, hey, you better chain up your dogs and not stand in your fence. And this is in a pretty good-sized town. Behind a Walgreens is where he's living. And so he feeds his dogs. He thinks his little boy's out there. He hears these 3 big dogs jump over the fence to attack his little bitty dog. And he has an assault rifle or SKS above his door. He just, the fatherly instinct, just like you had with your wife saying, hey, that's my wife. That's, just kicked in. Because logic just doesn't, would tell you not to do that.
Yeah.
Well, it just kicked in. He opened that back door, killed 2 of those dogs in his backyard. And it's a residential backyard. I don't know what it was. It's, but it's just a backyard.
Right.
The other one finally makes it over the fence, and he doesn't shoot it because it's now in its property. Yeah. Picks up the phone, calls the police, and the police come over, see the dead dogs, don't say anything about it, walk right next door, give the people a ticket for not keeping their dogs in their fence.
That's awesome.
It was just like this cool story. But when the cops are on their way over, I got a phone call. I was like, man, I just killed my neighbor's dogs, and I just, discharged a pretty large firearm. He goes, if I go to jail, you got to come get me. And I'm like, okay. So for minutes, I'm just waiting to hear what's going to happen. It's funny, though, because he called 911 right after he killed those dogs. It's like, I just killed my neighbor's dogs.
Yeah.
But to stand up, and be a defender is kind of cool. Yet your wife knows this now.
Oh.
You will stand up for her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, she loves it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like in the threat of death, my husband stared down the Bandidos and said, hands off, buddy.
Single-handedly, yeah.
That's my merchandise.
Oh, it's I'm so glad I did that. Regardless if anything would have happened or not, you know.
If you didn't do it, you're mud. The story would be going just opposite. Those guys had their hands all over me. Walker wasn't doing nothing.
That's right. No, I came out the hero.
Yeah, you did, man.
For it.
Yeah. Crazy story, man.
Yeah. And so hung out with the Bandidos and survived.
Want to raise boys to be good husbands and daddies and to, stand up for a woman. That's a good, when it's time to stand up.
Yeah. Hopefully they don't get their wives in those kind of situations. But if they're in a situation, hopefully they do.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing our best for.
Yeah. Hats off. Yeah, good thing you sang those Jesus songs at the beginning. That probably softened them.
Yeah. Spoke to him.
Spoke to him like, I do miss my mama. She did pray for me. She's prayed for me now. And then it's like a few minutes later, get your hands off my woman.
I was in the middle of a Tom Petty song. Actually, that might have been where I got my courage. Now think about it. I never thought about this before. I was in the middle of Tom Petty. I Won't Back Down.
Oh,
I'm serious. I was in the dead middle of it whenever he did it. And so I was
it's
like,
almost like a movie.
Yeah.
I like you. Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Silver likes you, man. Yeah. I wonder where he is now.
I wonder.
Yeah. Well, if Silver, you ever listen to this, we live in New York City.
That's right.
Well, pretty cool story, man. You heard it here at the barbershop. So protect your wives, protect your kids, and be a man. Walker was one, and he lived to tell about it. Not all do.
Not all do.
See y'all next week.